Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
yes, goal,
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug? Ignored a leaky faucet? Pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look that way? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. Whether it's a door that sticks, or a disorganized closet, or an AC unit that only works half the time. It all matters. You just haven't taken care of it yet. But there's an easier way. Just download the Thumbtack app. You can search for what you need done and find tons of highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Check prices, reviews, and book a pro right on the spot. Plus, you'll know what to tackle next, because Thumbtack is the app that shows you what to do, who to hire, and when. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, say goodbye to all those unfinished home projects and say hello to caring for your home the easier way. Download Thumbtack and start a project today.
Now, with the MLB app, you can get baseball your way. Pick your favorite team, your favorite players, and get customized highlights, stories, and breaking news right on your home feed. Follow the action with Game Day, where 3D replays add another dimension. Plus, notifications can keep you connected to every pitch, every hit, every game. The MLB app. Baseball your way. Download it now for free from the App Store or Google Play. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Radio you can touch.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
Who the hell are you? I'd rather go down to the barber shop and ask a guy about ready to get his hair cut what the urgency's like.
Lord knows we need family now more than ever.
Jeff Lutz.
I just don't want to indulge you and I'm the greatest thing in the world every time we're on the show. I'm not going to do that.
You're unbelievable. Judas.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
It's showtime, baby. You go wacko, bananas, nuts, crazy, unbelievable.
Are you ready? Let's go!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday edition, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH Radio. It's Bob Lutz and Jeff Lutz co-hosting. Max Power producing engineering, 869-1240. The phone number. Man, just heard Ted Woodward's sports update. Seth Lugo with a 1.16 ERA.
He's been pretty unhittable for some reason.
Explain it. I mean, he's been a good pitcher. A lot of it out of the bullpen.
Yeah, was made a starter last year.
Transitioned to a starter last year was okay. But when they signed Seth Lugo, I thought that was that's a number 5 guy. Good job.
Maybe a little more than a 5.
Well, maybe a 4, maybe a 5, maybe something, a 4 or 5. That's what I thought.
Fine.
I didn't see a 1.16 ERA. How many All-Stars? Now, I know we're really early. The All-Star game's not for a couple of months. But if you were voting today, how many All-Stars do the Royals have?
I don't know. They could have, I guess, up to 5, I would say.
Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez are locks, right?
You would think.
Reagan's
Lugo, and
their Lugo, and their closer.
Their closer,
whose name is?
MacArthur, I believe. James
MacArthur. There was an actor on Hawaii Five-0 named James MacArthur.
Of course there was.
Well, there was. I don't make this stuff up.
I believe you.
So those would be my 5 picks for the All-Star team.
Anybody else? Pasquantino could be in the running.
I don't think so.
I don't think he has enough of a track record. You got to have some track record.
Yeah, he's not had an All-Star year, not even close. I don't know why you ruined a very good segment.
He's had an okay year.
He's had an OPS of 729.
It's not bad.
That's not All-Star level. That's not even close. He's not even in the discussion.
Well, we're a month into the season.
There's that's right. Right, you're right, and that's not even a possibility. That a month into the season, we're talking about Vinny Pasquantino right
Anything's
now
a possibility.
as a potential all-star.
He got hot for a while. His numbers are pretty good.
You know who we forgot, who's actually had a better start than Cole Reagan's, is Brady Singer. His ERA is very low. He's only given up 22 hits in 34 and a third innings. I'd probably say Brady Singer over Cole Reagan's right now.
Could be. I really don't care.
I do.
I mean, you do. That's fine.
I don't know about MacArthur. He's good. John Schreiber, who's been unhittable.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Out of their bullpen. Well, I don't know why it's not going to happen.
Takes a lot for middle relievers.
He's a
all
key guy. He's an eighth-inning guy.
Well, good.
In today's game, that matters.
Well, then put Kate Smith on the All-Star team.
I don't care anything about the Guardians.
Put Tim Herron on the All-Star
about the
team.
Guardians. People hate the Guardians.
No, they don't.
You've created an atmosphere in this community.
Good. I have that level of power. That's awesome.
Where people can't stand the Cleveland Guardians.
Great.
Here we are trying to have a Royals conversation.
Well, you're talking about these. Everybody has good middle relief. Everybody has a guy in the bullpen with a low ERA.
Not everybody.
Yeah, pretty much everybody.
No, name a team.
The Rockies.
They don't have a good. They don't have anybody.
I bet they have a good reliever.
They don't have anybody. I'll
That's
just
why
say
I
that
named the
right
Rockies.
now.
I bet they do.
All right, I'm going to look up the Rockies, who are 7-23.
Look them up.
And their best pitcher has an ERA of 27.39. Their team ERA is 6.00. Their best pitcher is Victor.
I want Victor Vodnik in the All-Star game.
Well, he may be, because they have to have somebody, or it might be Jalen Beeks, who's got an ERA of 2.40. Victor Vodnik, 2.855. Everybody else in that roster, everybody else pitching, has an ERA of 4.50 or higher. That's unbelievable.
And that's the Rockies.
Why do they have a team in Colorado?
I don't know. They're supposed to have hitters, but they don't.
Why'd they build a ballpark that is a graveyard for pitchers?
Well, they haven't ever figured out how to really overcome that. It's
a beautiful ballpark.
They made some runs.
You've been there.
I have. Saw Pedro pitch there.
Was that on our trip to Steamboat Springs?
Of course. Pedro was with the Expos at the time. Long time ago. I'm very old.
Oh, please. Shut up.
I saw Pedro pitch for the
seriously.
Expos.
You know what? The next time I hear you say I'm very old.
Pedro pitched for the Expos?
So, that's 20 years ago or less.
No, it's like 27 years ago.
No, it's not. You weren't 14.
Yeah, we were 14 when we went to Steamboat Springs.
I wasn't.
Well, you weren't 14. You were much, much older.
And I don't sit around here complaining about my age.
I didn't complain.
I don't talk about how old I am on this show.
No, never. That never happens.
I never do.
Never.
You know why?
Not ever.
Here's why. You want to know why?
Well, you're lying, so it's a false premise.
Because I'm young at heart. The listeners of this show would never believe my age.
I bet you talk about your age before this show ends.
I'm talking about it now.
You know what I mean.
The listeners of this show would never believe my age.
Quit worrying about what the listeners believe.
I care about the listeners.
Just do your show.
I show them the proper amount of respect.
Just do your show, and if they listen, great.
You know, Jeff, let me tell you something. Let me just make this clear to you.
Bring it.
I've been doing this show for 25 years.
Not this show.
A show. Some show.
We've been doing this show for 8.5 years.
I don't care about this show.
It's a long, long time.
This show's just this show's something I do to pass the time.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Well, good.
That's right.
Then stop worrying about what the listeners think.
Who said I'm worried?
Oh, the listeners. They would never believe. That's an opinion.
Here's what I care about. The listeners.
I'm happy that we have listeners.
And the listeners.
Great.
That's what I care about.
Awesome.
And they know that.
No, they don't. They don't want to be pandered to. What?
Keep talking.
Well, I said what I needed to say.
And every time you host a show with Duda, it's complete pandering.
No, I don't pander. I'm not a panderer. That is not in my personality.
I've heard you.
I've heard
it
is.
So anyway, back to the Royals. it's been interesting to follow. They're good. They're legitimately good. So are the Guardians. So are the Twins. And so are the Tigers.
Tigers are okay.
No, they're good.
I'm going to see them next week,
now,
and I'll tell you if
about
they're
a
good.
bullpen. They have a good one. So, yeah, right now I'd probably say they're the fourth best team, but they're building something. If they could get a couple guys that they were counting on to hit, especially Spencer Torkelson, he was a 1-1, number one pick.
He was. That tells
Hadn't
you.
hit a home run this year.
Well, that tells you about drafting first baseman only with the number one pick. Not a smart idea.
Well, everybody loved the idea. Now, last year he got hot.
He did at the
In
end of the
second
season.
half, he was tearing the cover off the ball. I don't know what happened. What's gone wrong this year?
Well, maybe he'll get it going again.
No power.
Strange.
It's bizarre. But I like that team. I just watched them play 3 games.
Against the Cardinals.
I love that. I don't care. I love that ballpark.
Why?
I just love the backdrop, the setting.
It's a very bland ballpark.
No,
to me.
not at all. You talk about bland. There's a couple in that division.
Kauffman Stadium
Cleveland
and what other?
the White Sox.
Cleveland Stadium is awesome.
You have to know better.
Why would I mean?
Will you make a trip to see the Guardians this year?
Plan to.
In Cleveland?
Yeah, in August.
Really?
Yes.
What else is going on?
SummerSlam.
You're going to SummerSlam.
It's possible.
In Cleveland.
Yeah.
Who's going with you?
I don't know yet.
You know your daughter will be heading up to college that month.
Yeah, she moves in later, I think, or earlier. I think it's later.
So you don't even know when your daughter's moving to K-State.
Well, I wanted to say July 27th, but that sounds very early.
That seems early.
But
that classes start.
That feels like the date, but it doesn't sound right when I say
Well,
it.
that's less than 3 months away.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle that? Are you ready?
I don't think that's the date because she's coming to Ohio with us. Yeah, no, I'm not ready. Of course I'm not ready.
How's that going to be?
Well, we'll drop her off and head home. I don't know.
And then what?
We'll be bawling our eyes out, or at least my wife will.
Oh, you will. Let's reenact. Let's go back to a situation a couple months ago at a play when your daughter walked on the stage.
Yeah.
I didn't see this. I was seated a few seats away from you. But my wife tapped me on the shoulder on the way home and said, "Man, Jeff just cried his eyes out."
I burst into tears.
What kind of weakness is that? She said.
I bet she loved it. You don't get to see the sensitive side too often.
Debbie would not say that in a billion years.
Which part?
What kind of weakness was that?
What did she say?
She said that was pretty weak.
Come on.
She liked it. I mean, you got emotional seeing your child
yeah, I did not expect it.
walk on stage.
Just burst into tears. There was no trickle tear trickling down.
It?
No, not really, but couldn't.
Did anybody else notice besides
my wife?
Those on your immediate
Not that
vicinity?
I know of. I don't know. Don't worry about the listeners, remember?
They're not listeners. These people are they drive this show. The people
Well, let's hear from them then.
driving in their car right now. I don't care about hearing. Now I don't care about hearing from them.
Well, then how do they drive the show?
Because I got better things to say.
Well, then how
No
do they
offense.
drive the show?
They drive the show by listening.
That doesn't make any
By
sense.
spending their advertising dollars on our sponsors.
Do they?
Such as IHOP, where they have the cinnamon apple pecan pancake.
Are you sure about that?
And they also sponsor our What's on Tap. And What's on Tap today, unfortunately, the great Jeff Passan from ESPN had to postpone his appearance. He's dealing with some personal things, and he'll be on soon, but he will not be on today. At 2:25, new Shocker guard A.J. McGinnis will join the show. We'll talk to him. He's a transfer from Lipscomb College, Shocker opponent this past season. At 2:45, Our friend Mike Furches will be on. We'll talk pop culture and catch up with Mike. Tomorrow on the show, Bill Self still scheduled for 2:45, and Scott Pass from KSHSAA Covered. We'll get an update on the spring high school sports. We probably don't pay enough attention to the spring sports.
We don't delve as deeply into them. No, we don't.
Why is that? Do you do that over at Storm Team 12?
What are you talking about, Storm Team 12?
Oh, isn't that the name of the station?
That's the weather wing.
Why not just call it all Storm Team 12?
That's
that.
That's not good branding.
Do you pay much attention to them over there?
Are you talking about Catch It, Kansas?
Yeah.
They do. I haven't been a part of that.
Well, good. I think it's important. I love spring sports. I enjoyed playing baseball in high school back in the day. That was my spring sport. That was my most favorite sport.
That was my only sport my last 2 years of high school.
It was my only sport my last year of high school, since I chose to get cut from the basketball team.
You chose that?
Well, sort of.
Not really.
Nah.
Have you ever, failed at something and said, I probably could have done better there? That's probably on me.
Yeah.
Or as a defense mechanism, do you say, well, I'm not really going to try, so when I get cut, I won't have to feel
it may
bad
have partially been that, but I knew my heart wasn't in it my senior year of basketball. I knew the team, and listen, my heart for basketball, and I love the game still to this day, but when I hurt my ankle my junior year and had to miss a month and a half or forever, I mean, I couldn't get over that ankle injury, and it just depleted me.
I hurt my ankle as a baseball player and went smooth sailing the rest of the way.
Yeah, you didn't hurt it as much as I did.
I ran into a wall.
Yeah, big deal. I had to wear a brace.
A wooden wall.
I had to wear a brace for a month and a half.
That's too bad.
Couldn't do anything. Just limping around.
I taped mine up and I was good to go.
Back in my day, you had an injury like that, and
you're debilitated. In my day, however,
yeah,
you played.
No, in my day, you played if you could, but I couldn't.
I hated not playing. I just hated it.
How you didn't have to sit out.
No, I didn't. But I'm just saying, if I had a day off, or
then why'd you get suspended?
I didn't mean to.
That doesn't make any sense.
I got suspended for two of the worst reasons ever to get suspended.
Tell us about it.
First time,
you mouthed off to an umpire.
No, I didn't. I mumbled.
That's mouthing off.
Under my breath, outside.
And what'd you say?
That was outside, or outside. That was it. Didn't look at him. Didn't direct anything to him.
And then he did what?
Threw me out between innings.
Well, what had you said between innings?
Nothing. I was going out to center field, and he's like, he's out of here. And
you didn't say anything.
No.
You're going to tell me that an umpire in high school
a very fragile umpire, yes.
Do you know who the umpire was?
No, but I hope he's listening.
He just watched you running out to center field and threw you out of the game.
Because I said that was outside.
Before that.
Right. But he let me finish the at-bat and then threw me out between innings. So by rule, you have to sit out the next game if you're ejected.
Was I at that game?
I don't know.
I must have just laid into you.
Well, it wasn't a good feeling.
Well, I liked it back in those days.
Man,
when I was
if you hadn't been our coach, I would have gotten kicked out of a lot of games in the summer.
Why?
Because I just had an attitude.
Well, I
had to play with attitude.
That's why I didn't allow it.
But I had to play with attitude. That's how I played.
You didn't have to play with attitude.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Of course I did.
You play with attitude in your inner drive. You don't let it come out to offend other people. You don't get kicked out of. How's that helping any team? How's that attitude? I never got kicked out of a game as a player in my life.
Well, neither did I, except
and
one.
You know what? I played with attitude.
No, you didn't.
Of course I did. You can't compete as a pitcher without attitude. Everybody who stepped into that box was my mortal enemy.
Well, that's how I felt.
You don't believe that?
And I felt that way about the umpires too a lot of times.
But I didn't get kicked out of games because then I couldn't compete against my mortal enemy.
And then the next time, Coach Kyle Sanders suspended me for a game because I didn't run after a fly ball.
Right.
That I thought was a home run.
And that was an embarrassment. I had to leave the stadium.
I mean, he got a double.
That ball bounced 10 feet in front of the
No,
fence.
it hit the wall. And he's like, well, you ran into a wall one time to make a catch, so I guess I shouldn't have done that.
Good for Coach Sanders. If you're listening, Kyle, thank you. Thank you.
I got suspended.
From the bottom of my heart.
You're welcome.
There's still some friction there, isn't there?
I don't like it.
You don't like him or him?
I love him, but I don't like the fact that he suspended
What'd
me.
you say to him that day?
I just had to take it.
Good for him. I've never been a bigger Kyle Sanders fan than hearing that story.
Yeah, I had to sit out our regional game the sophomore year.
What an embarrassment. You're sitting here telling people
We
basically
lost.
that you were a jerk.
No, I'm not.
I've counted 4 games you were suspended for.
There's 2. The regional game and the fly ball game, the next game after that.
Why were you suspended for the regional game?
Because of the ejection.
Terrible.
My mom was here for that.
I remember.
Yeah, it
She
felt
flew
terrible.
home in a fit of rage. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, A.J. McGinnis, who is a shocker basketball player. He's coming here out of the transfer portal, out of Lipscomb. We'll talk with A.J. McGinnis next. The Bob and Jeff Show, KFH.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
Yes, goal.
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. to H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Now, with the MLB app, you can get baseball your way. Pick your favorite team, your favorite players, and get customized highlights, stories, and breaking news right on your home feed. Follow the action with Game 10, where 3D replays add another dimension. Plus, notifications can keep you connected to every pitch, every hit, every game. The MLB app. Baseball your way. Download it now for free from the App Store or Google Play. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
All right, we are joined on the IHOP hotline by shocker newcomer A.J. McGinnis, a guard transferring to Wichita State from Lipscomb University. A.J., welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing great as well. It's exciting times. This transfer portal, it's such a new thing to me and to college sports. Tell us about your decision to enter that portal and then what convinced you to become a Wichita State basketball player.
Oh, man. After playing two great years at Lipscomb, I really just wanted to take a chance on myself again. That's kind of been a repeated theme throughout my past and just betting on myself. So I entered the portal with that mindset, and I had a previous relationship with one of the coaches on the staff because he coached at Lipscomb last year, Xavier Holland, and we had a really nice relationship. We were always in the gym. He was just making sure I was really on top of things, and when he left, things kind of were the same for real at Lipscomb, but I really enjoyed being around him because of what he showed and how he helped me grow. So I definitely knew I wanted to be around a family of coaching staff or a coaching staff that is really similar in those traits and habits that he showed towards me. And really think that the Wichita State coaching staff has that going, and I'm just really excited to see where we can take things next year.
So take us inside what it's like being in the transfer portal. Are there parts of it you dread a little bit? Is it mostly positive attention that you like? Do you think about, how hard it is to just pack up and move? Is that easier because you're a younger guy? What is it just like those days and weeks that you're in the portal?
At first it's really sweet because you're getting all the attention that you wanted, but it's like the longer you stay in there, the more stressful it gets, so to say. But as far as like my decision making in there, I really just that's a time where I really just only like really talk to my family and really think throughout my decisions. So they played a big part in my decision making and made it easier. And as far as like leaving and packing up and going somewhere new, I don't really have a problem with that. I feel like that just comes with the game of basketball. You never know where it may take you. You never know where you may end up. So those are really like my thoughts when I was in there and how I handled things.
We're talking now with A.J. McGinnis. He'll be a senior guard on the 2024-2025 Wichita State basketball team. So this will be your fourth school: UNC Greensboro, Cincinnati, Lipscomb, now Wichita State. I've always been curious, and I've never asked this question of an athlete before, but college is at least somewhat about academics. How does that affect your educational process to have four different colleges? Are you able to easily transfer hours? Is it an impediment at all? Is it a disadvantage? Just talk a little bit about that aspect of all this.
Okay, so my freshman year, I went to UNCG with Coach Wes Miller, and we did great things there. And as far as academics, I was in the business program at first, and it was going well. I really didn't like it, but it was still early on because I was a freshman. I had just got to college. So with me transferring to Cincinnati with my coach, I one second. All right, but once I transferred with him, I had changed my major and really kept some of that general education credits because that's basically what the first 2 years of college are, just general education. So it was easy to get some of my credits moved and be able to stay on track. And then after that, I had gotten hurt or whatever at Cincinnati, and I wanted to get my basketball career back on, just back going in the right direction. And so I transferred to Lipscomb, and it wasn't hard at all to get my credits from Cincinnati because I stayed in the same major. I wanted to do communications, and I just rode that out at Lipscomb for 2 years, and I'm graduating actually on Saturday. So I'll be at Wichita State pursuing a master's degree in sports management.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. So let's talk about your game. You talked about, you said you wanted to take a chance on yourself. So what opportunities do you think Wichita State provides you? And then I guess just as important, what will you bring to the table?
Playing against Wichita State last year in the first game, I shot the ball really well, and I saw that they really needed more shooters, and I had something that they needed, and it was just in my head throughout the season. I was like, they really need a guy that can come in and fill it up. They had a kid who shot the ball really well. I think his name was Kobe Rogers, but he transferred out, and I knew that would be a great opportunity for me to kind of fill that spot of shooting that they need. And also they have great player development. So I thought it was a good opportunity for me to develop as a player and just have more of a free mind as far as, in basketball and as far as playing the game. So.
All right, we're talking with A.J. McGinnis. He'll be a Wichita State basketball player. He said he'll be in Wichita here relatively soon to begin that process of preparing for next season. So the Shockers have another player that's coming here out of the transfer portal by the name of Justin Hill. He's more of a true point guard. He's coming from the University of Georgia. Do you know much about Justin Hill?
Oh yes, he's a great guy. We're actually on our visit together, and I watched a little bit of his game, and I watched a lot of his highlights after the visit, and I really am excited to play with him and excited to see what kind of noise we can make as Shockers this year.
So you talked about, kind of leaning on your family. Tell us about them. Tell us how important they were to you in the process while you were in the portal and trying to figure things out.
So I'm an only child by my mom and dad, and they're not together right now. They're actually remarried, and I'm so happy for both of them, and I love them to death. But so I always kind of value my relationship with them and keeping them in the loop of what I was doing because of that. And so, it's just a lot of phone calls, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, and they're my parents, so they know me best. And I feel like I can get to that vulnerable state with them and be able to make the right decision, and trust that they'll guide me to make the right decision or just help influence that decision. But ultimately they let me make my own decisions, but they're just there to deal with the real AJ that nobody really gets a chance to see. So that's the part that they play in everything.
A.J. McGinnis, our guest. So you mentioned in your bio here on the Lipscomb basketball website that your favorite professional athlete is LeBron James. I'm sure you're not alone in that. Tell us what it is about LeBron that appeals to you, and when did you develop that? He's been in the NBA almost as long as you've been alive. So when did that fandom start to develop?
Like you said, he's been in the NBA for mostly my whole life. So he was the first person I got to watch as like being conscious as like a kid. So he was the first person that I seen on TV dunking and just like passing. Like his IQ is amazing, like making crazy passes. Just he was incredible at that time, and he still is. But it was just like the first time I was starstruck as a kid, and I never really could let that go. So that's the reason he's my favorite player. I just love watching him. And I feel like he's a great human being, and he does a lot for the community off the court too as well. And I really am inspired by that.
Final moments here with A.J. McGinnis, headed to Wichita State from Lipscomb as a transfer out of the transfer portal. So Shocker fans, I'm sure, have examined your numbers very closely, and they got to just be elated by the way you shoot three-pointers. Tell us how that all came about. When did you start to develop that shot? Did you do it on your own? Was your father instrumental? How did you become the shooter you are?
So it's actually funny. My father, he didn't really have a jumper until he got really older. So I would see him shooting threes in like all these alumni tournaments and stuff like that. But when I watched his film, he was more of a mid-range and then like get to the basket and play defense. So and he was just a big energy guy. So I think that's where it started in the mid-range. When I was younger, I just shot a lot of mid-range jump shots. And I think I was playing AAU one year, and one of my coaches, like everybody, we're really young, so everybody on the court is shooting crazy shots. And one of my coaches was like, "No, we don't want you to shoot threes, AJ." And I'm like, well, that kind of hurt my feelings. So I'm like, I told my dad, I'm like, he told me I can't shoot threes. I want to shoot threes, everybody's shooting threes. And I'm just like, well, I got to work on it. I got to show him that I can do it. And ever since then, I just haven't looked back. I've always been in the gym. My dad, he has nice touch, so he's anytime I'm shooting the ball wrong, he'll come fix it up, and it just takes a lot of reps. So that's what we did for how many every years it's been since then. So yeah.
Well, good stuff, and I know I speak for Wichita State fans when I say we look forward to seeing you on the floor here as a Shocker at Koch Arena. AJ, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in Wichita soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thanks.
AJ McGinnis, coming to Wichita State. I would think that if you heard that interview, you're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, I like that. I like that kid.
Me too. His dad seemed nice too, and the two texts I
Are you
exchanged.
trying to let our audience know that you arranged that interview?
I mean, if that's what they take from it, sure.
Good job.
Thanks.
If that's what you're looking for. Thank you for
You're
getting AJ McGinnis. Now, hopefully, we can get Justin Hill.
Well, I've reached out.
Heard nothing back, huh?
I'll check in one more time with the kid.
Yeah, let's go. Let's make it happen. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm going to guess that our friend Mike Furches, who joins us, also likes Starship, Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, whatever.
Thomas Jefferson.
Whatever we want to call him. Am I right, Mike?
Yeah. Oh, you're correct. Aren't they going to be in Wichita this year for Riverfest? It seems like Starship's on the Riverfest docket, but I'm not sure.
I think now that you say that, I think you're right.
Yeah.
What's their current band lineup, I wonder?
Who knows? Who knows anymore with bands from that era?
Yeah. You're so correct.
It's hard to know.
Yeah. I mean, Foghat has one guy, and you got all these other bands that just, they maybe have one guy, and that's it. So, who knows?
Starship featuring Mickey Thomas is.
Well, I'm going to make every effort to go see that. When is it?
Yeah.
I don't have that information. I don't know that they've set the dates yet.
I think.
They have
Saturday. Yeah, I think it's a Saturday night, but I'm not positive.
Wednesday, June 5th.
Oh no,
I couldn't be more out.
I don't know if I'll be able to make it.
I'm planning on going. So, speaking of music, Bob, it is a sad day for Friends of the Electric Cloud Orchestra, such as myself. So, for folks that don't know, that haven't heard, Richard Tandy, one of the original members of ELO, longtime collaborator with Jeff Lynne, him, Bev Devon, Ron Wood, and Jeff Lynne were the ones that actually started the Electric Cloud Orchestra. And Lynne has a history of, having some issues with former members, but he and Tandy, they were close friends until the very end. So, but Jeff Lynne released yesterday that Richard Tandy did die. I'm assuming from complications related to Parkinson's, which he's been fighting for some time. So, it's a sad day for Electric Cloud Orchestra fans. I would put it in comparison for you guys that are Eagles fans. I would say it'd be Richard Tandy for Electric Cloud Orchestra in many ways would be like
Randy Meisner.
Well, yeah, kind of like Randy Meisner, or there's others that we can think of as well. So, but it's
So you saying he would be on the same level as a Glenn Frey with the Eagles?
He was certainly critical in the creation of the sound, the music, and then later on as they transitioned away from all of the classical instruments, the violin, the cello, and so forth, he replicated all that with the keyboards. And he was also his first year or so with the Electric Cloud Orchestra, he actually played bass guitar for them. And he played about every instrument that could be played, but was well known in the end for his keyboards and piano work.
Glenn was the front man for the Eagles.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Not really an apt comparison.
I don't want to get caught up in comparing the two because obviously Richard Tandy was a force for ELO.
The Eagles are unlike most bands. They kind of had two front men. Glenn Frey was the out front, but Don Henley was the lead singer, basically. So it's a little different.
Well, with the Eagles, I'd probably compare him more to Joe Walsh in that he was so critical to the sound and so forth. So he was never a frontman. He's actually very shy, as is Jeff Lynne. But again, it's just something you don't expect to hear. There was hopes that he may join Lynn on the upcoming tour, the last tour. Lynn kind of said that probably wasn't going to happen because his health wasn't doing good, and clearly he was right. So he's deceased now, and it's a sad day for. I mean, you guys have gone through it. You know what it's like to be a fan of a band, and then you lose a member that you followed so closely for so many years. So, but
well, I think, and you can speak. You can speak to this as well as I can. At our age, this stuff happens with alarming regularity. So, this isn't. It's not unusual to be able to have to mourn the loss of somebody who you grew up with, who means a lot to you, because it happens all the time.
Yeah, it sort of seems to nowadays. And it happens all the time in the music industry because of poor lifestyle choices as a main culprit. That's hard enough, but then when you follow someone that has lasted so long, you're right, it definitely has an impact on us. And any true fan of any band for any number of years, it has an impact. And the question becomes, do we have fans for long time years like we used to? Or has music become kind of like sports in that you can't really keep a level of consistency with players and so forth? So, but those old days with some of the bands, like it's kind of like the Rolling Stones and the Who, those types of things just don't exist that much anymore. So my dog's seeing neighbors.
That's okay. We love dogs. Dogs can do whatever they want. We'll get to your question.
I have a bunch of questions for Mike, but you go ahead.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day because I've been such an Eagles guy my entire life. But as I get older here toward, approaching the age of 70, I don't feel the excitement that I once did, and I never thought I would get to this point with the Eagles. But I think it's somewhat natural because I know they're still out there touring. I admire that. I think it's great that they're still drawing big crowds and arenas, and I'd certainly go see them if they came to Wichita. But there was a time where I was like Jeff. I would go wherever they were, and those times have. Why do you think that is, Mike? I'm not as excited about it as I used to be.
I think part of it is that you did is, I've actually thought about this in the past, especially with Jeff and you as well, because I think you've seen him, 30-something times?
Yeah, about 30, 34, 35, something like that.
Yeah, I think
not as many as Jeff.
Yeah. I think part of it is, and Jeff can add to this, you've seen him so many times that after a while you maybe begin to lose some of the luster for him. I don't know. The band changes. I think one of the differences for me with ELO is I'm getting ready to see them for probably I'll end up seeing them at most 5 times in my lifetime. So I don't have that long history. But I think that some of the bands over the years, I worked with bands that I greatly admired and appreciated. One band called Resurrection Band or Res Band, and they were very well known at one time. We sold out to Cotillion 3 times in Wichita with them. And I did so many shows. I got tired. I didn't care if I saw them again or not. I love them, appreciate them, but I think the number of times that you see a band or that you've the length of time you follow them, I think that has some play in some instances. Certainly not all the time, though. That's why Jeff's seen them 53 times.
Something
54.
like that. And had they changed up the set list for this tour they're on right now, I would have been more excited. But I just don't feel I don't feel compelled. I've heard these songs a billion times.
Well, as have I. They're still fun to hear, but they are going through the motions a little bit. I want to ask you, Mike, because you brought up the Stones. I saw a couple of their videos on YouTube, fan-posted stuff. I don't know what to think of the Rolling Stones with Mick Jagger at 80. He's still every bit as charismatic, still really can't sing, but they're still the Rolling Stones. So would you plan on going to see them, and what do you think of them still being out there?
I've never seen them. Anytime I have the chance to see a legend or a Grammy winner, I don't care who it is, I go see him. The Gaithers, I was so critical of gospel music for so long, and there's a personal story with the Gaithers that just had me bothered to some extent. But they played a church here a couple of months ago, about maybe 6 months ago now, And I went because it's the Gaithers, and I had never seen them, and it was quite enjoyable. And so I like taking pleasure in saying that, I saw Chuck Berry, I saw some of these people, and some of them I didn't enjoy. Chuck Berry's show was pitiful. It was terrible, but I got to see Chuck Berry. So the Stones, I'd be there in a heartbeat just because the chance to see Mick Jagger and the rest of the crew. Some of those guys bought
Furches.
Abraham Lincoln. Some of those guys from the Stones, they bought Abraham Lincoln his first guitar, so that says something about them.
Hey, Mike, do you watch this television show Survivor?
I used to watch it all the time. I haven't watched it in the last few years, but I used to watch it all the time.
Because last night, and we'll get everybody's feedback on this, I guess, my colleague Ross Jansen at Channel 12 decided to break in at about 8:50 or 8:24. I think the show ended at 8:30. It's an hour-and-a-half show now. Right before the tribal council where people were getting voted off, and we got several emails, like double-digit emails about that. I'm sure the phones were lighting up in the newsroom, and I didn't really know what to think about it. I understand both sides. I get people want to see the end of their show, but I also understand that people want to know if severe weather is in their area.
Here's my thought on that. Here's my thought on that. If I want to know about severe weather, I've got my phone. Okay?
It's not
which I didn't have back in the day. So my only hope about severe radio was radio
Severe
or
weather,
television.
yeah.
Now, if I'm living in an area where there's severe weather, I've got my phone. And if I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and they break in to tell me there's severe weather in Utica, I'm gonna rebel against that a little bit.
I understand.
I'm sorry, that's just who I am. I'm gonna rebel against that a little bit because in the year 2024, the technology should exist that we can warn the people in a particular viewing area that they have an issue, but not. I don't need. I'm in Wichita. The sun's out. I'm playing golf out in the.
I mean, it was overcast yesterday, but yeah, I hear you.
Well,
that's my thought, Mike.
If I'm not mistaken, there's some of these weather channels on each of the networks that they have like these live presentations, and you can get these little things called weather radios. For the reality shows like Survivor or Big Brother, some of those, you don't want to mess with some of those fans because they're kind of rabid, especially when they're coming to a council decisions. But I'm with you, Bob. It's like if there's a storm in southwest Kansas, I most definitely, they need to know about that, and there's ways they can do that. But Kansas is so vast and large in so many extents, and the television stations cover such a broad area, it makes it really difficult. And I don't know. I'm kind of with you.
On the other side of that argument, I talked about the technology that exists now. There's also streaming. So if somebody cuts into Survivor, all you got to do is go to Paramount Plus.
Well, not everybody has Paramount Plus.
Or there's ways, or YouTube, or whatever.
It's on CBS.com, I believe, for free. So hopefully, if people were upset, they were able to.
But if I'm sitting in my living room and I'm getting to the tribal council part of that show, and I don't watch Survivor, so I don't even know what that really means.
Yeah, you do.
But if I'm getting to that point of the show where people are being voted off or however that works, I want to see that. And
you know exactly how Survivor. Don't be that guy.
I don't watch Survivor.
But you know how it works.
Not really.
You've been on this planet
watch it
for the last 25 years.
I think I have some vague idea. I think they vote people off, right?
Yeah.
So if that's what the tribal council is.
That's what tribal council is.
Then I don't want that interrupted if I'm sitting in my living room watching that show.
Correct.
Unless there's a severe weather situation where I live.
Right. And for Wichitans, last night there was not.
So I think we're all in agreement.
I mean, aren't there relay stations where what they see in Garden City, for example, is different than what we see in Wichita, or is it all the same? I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's all the same. I think they have different satellites around the state, but I think that there's not the technology to just go on the air up in northwest Kansas or any other particular part of the state without going on the air in all the geographic.
Right, and we don't even have a Western Kansas reporter anymore, which is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, one other thing I wanted to ask you about.
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. What do you have to say about it? Why'd you bring this up?
I just thought it was an interesting conversation.
Folks, just get away with the radio. That would be my recommendation. But I agree. I don't like the shows interrupting. Go ahead, Bob. Next question.
I'm curious. Now, I don't get to watch nearly as much television at this time of the year, but we did start the Steve Martin documentary on Apple TV the other night. I found I'm completely into it because I love Steve Martin. The only thing that bothers me about it is that he's not shown on screen when he's actually talking, nor is anyone else. It's just kind of video highlights. But do we regard, in the pantheon of comedians and comedy, where does Steve Martin fit in?
You're speaking because he has such a varied role from actor to musician and comedian. I mean, he's done it all. I personally believe that he is incredible in each of those capacities. People do not. I love music. He does not get nearly enough credit outside of the Grammy Awards that he's won for his musical abilities. But as a comedian and as an actor, he's done quite well. I think it was Roxanne was the movie that he was in, kind of based on Cyrano de Bergerac. And I thought he did a great job in that. With Father of the Bride, he's a great actor. I think he's a great comedian, and not recognized for the quality of work that he's done. So I think very high.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
I don't have Apple TV, and now you're making me want to get it to get that free week somehow.
It's been interesting to see his backstory because while I was aware of some of it, certainly not all of it. So,
Mike, have you seen The Big Year?
I have not seen it yet.
No, you got to see it yet. It's been out for 15 years. But you should see it.
You know what? Don't ask a guy a question, and he says he hadn't seen it, and then
you haven't seen it yet.
And you haven't seen it yet.
Is he getting around to it? Is it on his list? Is it in his queue? I mean, what are we talking?
It's not on my list at all. Now, I said something
well, it should
last
be.
week or a week before last. I said something about let's text and try to get the information about the FBI show. So he sent me the information, and I've been watching it. So, Jeff, same thing. Just send a reminder. With the movies, I saw a movie last night. I'm seeing a movie tonight. And then I've got a couple of TV shows. I was telling Max, the one thing I'm watching religiously right now is I'm watching probably 2 episodes of the old Blue Bloods. I went back to the beginning and started watching that to get caught up again and before that ends. So you just send me a text.
Jeff wouldn't watch that. It was the last show.
I don't mind shows like that, but I don't watch it. You should watch The Big Year, though. I think I'm the only person who has watched.
We'll get to it.
Text me and I'll watch it. I promise you.
All right.
All right, Mike. Always a pleasure. We appreciate your time. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Take care, guys.
All right, Mike Furches, our regular contributor here on the show. We'll be back. We've got an hour left. The Bob and Jeff Show, KFH.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
Yes, go!
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
It's a great day to venture out in a spacious and capable Toyota SUV. Like the new RAV4. With available all-wheel drive, it can go just about anywhere. And with plenty of passenger and cargo space, you'll go from morning carpool to weekend road trip without missing a beat. Plus, with available features like wireless charging and a touchscreen interface, your Toyota RAV4 will keep you connected no matter where you're going. Or check out a spacious Highlander. With seating for up to 8, it's a hub for family adventure. You'll drive in comfort and style with available heated and ventilated seats and all the latest tech. And with available hybrid models, your new Highlander can save you tons on gas. Right now, your local Toyota dealer has more vehicles in stock and is making delivery on new vehicles almost every day. So don't wait. Buy a RAV4 or Highlander today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota, let's go places.
Baseball is back, and so is MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market regular season game on your favorite streaming devices, anywhere, anytime, all season long. Follow the action live or on demand. Track 4 games at once with multi-view mode and catch up with in-game highlights. Plus, original programs, minor league broadcasts, and local pre- and post-game shows. Go to MLB.tv to start your free trial today. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.